Hi there. Welcome to MongoDB Worlds 2020. My name is Mark Hosking, CEO and founder of Formbird, and I'm honoured and excited with the opportunity to present. Thanks for dropping by, and I hope we can connect at some point. Leveraging the power of MongoDB and our Formbird technology, Formbird developers are delivering true digital transformation at a fraction of the traditional cost. Actually leveraging lean and rapid application development methodologies, one of our enterprise customers just commented to me last week that for the first time they are actually using lean as Formbird and MongoDB supports it, an underlying capability. We have turned the development cycle on its head. Following traditional waterfall methodologies, app development and solution implementations have always been 20% design, 80% development. With Formbird and MongoDB, project times are dramatically improved, actually enabling lean and continuous improvement, a cornerstone to modern digital transformation. The freedom that MongoDB brings to data management, Formbird brings to app development, a real marriage. I hope to give you a glimpse into what we can achieve with these two technologies. Firstly, a bit of background, and I'll talk about digital transformation, then MongoDB and the document model and what is possible, and finally a demonstration of Formbird. So, a bit of a background to myself and how I came to MongoDB. Over the past 30 years, I've been developing software, starting with MS-DOS and C, Clipper and DBase 4, and then on to C++ on Windows, and the 4GLs like Progress, Lotus Notes, .NET, and the relational databases, SQL Server and Oracle. Over that time, I've been frustrated with the many aspects of the app development process. Firstly, the effort, speed, and cost. There's always been this conflict between simplicity of development and scalability and extensibility. Then there's the whole issue of data modeling. As a solution architect, I'd spend hours building complex relational models, leveraging things like the party entity model, which would supposedly model the world in an extensible manner, although ultimately you'd build a relational model specific to those immediate needs. It took me many years to accept that there was no perfect, open, extensible relational model. It was only once you draw the obvious and conclusions that all businesses are different and unique. A relational model is only as good as what you're modeling. And the bigger the model, the worse it got. So under all this frustration, 60 years ago, I began architecting Formbird. With our awesome engineers, the underlying capability of Formbird, we commenced construction of the technology. With the key objectives of speed and ease of development, continually improvement and the ability to move the platform with the technology moves, 100% data-driven applications that makes the business logic independent of the underlying technology. That is, the application lies within the database. No technological lock-in, i.e., we are a container leveraging and delivering open source and incredibly popular components. Therefore, although Formbird makes life easier, we don't lock you into Formbird. We are not proprietary. As one of those key objectives of not being proprietary, Formbird is inherently extensible. Our underlying objectives are that it should be as simple for a business person to build a basic and functional application, yet extensible that a seasoned developer isn't limited, and they can take their creativity and go beyond that simple application. Remember to visit us at formbird.com, particularly keeping an eye out for our self-service release during Q3. With a free tier that will marry nicely with a MongoDB Atlas free tier, our pricing model will be moving to a hosted server complementary to the Atlas pricing model. The two working hand in hand, delivering a highly functional applications with easy and scalable data access. What is digital transformation? Digital transformation is when an organization leverages technology to change the way it operates. We are now in the second wave of digital transformation. The first being the automation and management of core business processes, accounting systems, asset management, and CRM. The second wave, and is very much in line with Industry 4.0, is the homogenization of the base business processes and core applications, communications, and now IoT, providing the opportunity to operate with employees, customers, and suppliers like never before, making data collection part of the communications process, and automating and augmenting with IoT data. As with previous digital transformation, we continue to seek all those key aspects of operational efficiency, customer engagement, staff engagement, and a safer and happier workplace, and ultimately a competitive advantage. Okay, so what functional capabilities do we need to deliver? We need to engage and collaborate and communicate in real time across preferred communications channels. We need to automate and reduce the human workload. We need to collect and analyze the data we're receiving to feed it back into the process and improve remain competitive. Okay, so let's take a look at what I think is a great example of digital transformation 2.0 or Industry 4.0, Domino's Pizza. We all know Domino's Pizza, right? So let's take a look at what digital transformation done right looks like. And by the way, in a very crowded, rapidly changing and price competitive market, to date, they have done it remarkably well. 16,500 stores in 85 countries. They do highlight, and one reason I'm using Domino's is the great example is the front and center that their statement is that is directly related to their digital strategy. 15 digital ways to order a pizza. And 65% of orders are via one of those digital channels. This is truly a company that understands the strong connection between their digital offering and their core business. They don't even pretend that they have the best pizzas. At all times in the process, Domino's is engaging all parties, in particular the customer, although it extends well beyond that, to the staff cooking, to the staff transporting, then the franchisee and the franchisors. Everyone in the loop knows that the second where that their pizza is in that process. With IoT being used to track the delivery of the vehicle and even taking photos of your pizza as part of the final inspection, the digital process is complete. So what are the takeaways? Bit of a pun there. Essentially coming back to my opening points, Domino's has been able to create customer engagement, process automation, collaboration through communications and IoT, comprehensive data collection, and I would suspect a very good analysis of their business. With all that in mind, and coming back to Domino's own website, you will find that there is very little mention of food or takeaway. What are Domino's? They are a pizza delivery organisation. Yes, not pizza baking, they are pizza delivery. So by that definition, you would have to conclude that quite obviously Uber Eats is almost certainly a far greater competitor than the local pizza restaurants or other pizza chains. It's quite clearly they are business focused on primarily the delivery process and achieving their unique position by taking it further and by then focusing on that vertical in a very unique way. Okay, so I hear you say, so what has changed? Good business has always been about understanding your product and market, engaging and communicating with customers and managing staff and the supply chain. Well, yes, you're totally correct. Like every good idea, it always comes back to keeping it simple, stupid, and re-looking at its core principles in light of current technology. So yes, digital transformation is about engaging with customers, engaging with employees, contractors and suppliers. It's taking your existing process and information, finding ways of better collecting data through IoT and sharing the data and helping improve your product offering. Digital transformation therefore sits over the top of existing and well-established IT and data systems. It enables engagement and does leverage existing, but it is not putting in a new accounting system, CRS system, asset and financial systems. It is taking leadership and understanding your business's unique offering, understanding how you engage with all those parties, and today software is at the heart of doing that. By definition, leadership is not following. Domino's wouldn't exist if they had just copied and had a lesser version of Uber Eats. Therefore, simply purchasing off-the-shelf software built for the masses will never provide digital transformation. One term I can't stand is best of breed. That software is best of breed in CRM. So you're telling me that a generic process implemented in many industries is going to transform my business? Again, do you think that Domino's would exist today if they just went out and purchased an off-the-shelf product and put that in and made that best of breed? No, they wouldn't. The fixation that bigger is better is another contradiction. How many times have you heard that statement that, hey, we just implemented Oracle Salesforce, but yeah, to get the right answers, I need to use my spreadsheet. Lots of useless functions is way worse than concise and targeted processes and data. Like putting on a suit that doesn't fit, buying a house that's the wrong size or location. Why is it that in every other aspect of our lives, we understand uniqueness and requirements? Yet somehow we would be fooled by big marketing budgets. In my 30 years of experience, I've yet to hear, we've just implemented XYZ enterprise solution. It was cost effective, came in on budget, operating smoothly, and transformed my business. Okay, so why aren't we just building solutions? Like we did in the early days, we built custom solutions. Well, again, the analysis is easy. First, it comes back to the following reasons: the sheer cost of development, skills to actually achieve the positive outcomes, and the cost of time. Should that mean we actually just give up hope and just accept that on the one hand, we need to digitally transform our business, and on the other hand, we can't afford anything but off the shelf? That may or may not actually be of any success or any help. No, we don't. And why not? Well, we know we have tools like MongoDB and Formbird, here to provide a path like never before to digital transformation and engagement. So let's now dive into why MongoDB is so important in this picture. Earlier I spoke about the critical nature and difficulty of the data model and data modeling. As a foundation of a house determines the stability of the house, data and data models determine the capability and foundation of an application. With the flexibility of the schemaless model, extensibility of the simple key value pair, and resulting document model, we have the foundation that we can build truly amazing applications from. So what makes the humble piece of JSON so powerful? Enabling Formbird and making it possible for organizations large and small to engage in digital transformation 2.0. The capabilities in its simplicity are flexibility, extensibility, and uniqueness. The key to this uniqueness is being unique down to the individual record. Let's look at a simple document. Here we have a document that describes me. It has common data like name. We have a type that is a many relationship. We have a unique data like my hobbies of golf. This simple document already demonstrates the flexibility, extensibility, and uniqueness that can be achieved which cannot be achieved with a relational database. So let's now look at the document describing my wife. Again, we have a combination of common, unique, and complex data within that one record. Okay, so in this third document, we now look at a document that defines a vehicle. Again, we have what would be common on all vehicles. We have unique properties, and we have a relationship back to the other two documents. Now bringing all three documents together, what do we have? Firstly, you can see that each document is unique in one form or another. Secondly, you can see that we have established a relationship between the vehicle and myself and my wife. As you can imagine, we can extend the definition of any one of these records by simply increasing the stored data, or pretty much stating the obvious. Again, continuing on with stating the obvious is that I can the ability to query on not just the content, but the existence or non-existence of content and the keys. I'm able to develop relationships. So it's a total misinformation that data can't be normalized in the document model. The unique ability to store only real data and more importantly, relevant data. Therefore, I end up with defining my entities accurately, not filling in with rubbish and misleading data. What is the result is you focus on content and not relationships. It's a revelation. It's a hallelujah moment when suddenly you realize that anyone can data model. Formbird consultants focus on the properties of an item, not how they relate to the rest of the world. Your number one concern is what are those properties? For example, in my previous example, by using common items such as date of birth or status across many entities, means that each of these properties actually form the relationships. I say that a document database has far greater capacity to maintain and build relationships than a relational database. What's more important, you don't have to predetermine those relationships. Those relationships evolve over time and from time as more data is collected. The only one thing you need to focus on is keeping a clear dictionary and then throwing those dictionary items together as you build each entity and making sure that the property is relevant to that item. And more often, you can use a common property that is more powerful for relationship building and in capacity. Things like name, status, date of birth, and date of birth could be the creation date of an asset, for instance. But then I can do very sophisticated, I can do queries that says, give me all active items that were born or created on a certain date, and then just continually build up my query to, in effect, create soft relationships that are not predefined relationships. Coming back to our Domino's example, quickly you can see that the macro entities that is easily defined within MongoDB can quickly be applied to the entities of the Domino's business, whether it be the order, the location of the driver details, or the franchise details, each being built very simply and yet connected by various common properties between them all. We've seen how MongoDB is an enabler in providing flexibility, scalability, and data modeling simplicity. Let's take a look at how we at Formbird leverage that flexibility and provide a low-code, no-code rapid application development platform sitting on top of and leveraging MongoDB. So let's look at some of the key capabilities of Formbird. Firstly, we support SAML and OAuth, complex password authentication and therefore two-factor authentication as well on login, very secure. This is a water application, an asset works and asset management application for a water utility. Here you can see the example of a Formbird component. The Formbird components here are built very specifically for business functions, and they can be built by anyone. They're using the web component standards. Here we're using open layers and presenting asset data as well as what's termed in the water industry as shut-off blocks. So what properties will be affected if water is shut off? Looking at key customers, dialysis customers, hospitals, etc. So in this one screen, we're able to present for the call taker some very concise and precise information that is around their business process in that call taking process, identifying the customers, identifying any issues that already exist. We can drill down, and in drilling down, we actually are taken to more detail, in this case, on selected asset, the selected asset component. Here we have all the asset layers that are relating to water. This was an incredibly successful project. The actual platform itself is progressive design, follows a Google progressive design, therefore works on all platforms, whether it be phone, tablet, or desktop. It's all the same line of code. You simply cut a form, the form definition then operates on anything. You can actually operate offline. Formbird has offline capability. That project for the water industry and has now been deployed at a number of water industry sites, water companies, consisted of about 300 forms, 50 reports. It covers basically across the business from call taking to dispatching to asset owners. It has integrations into the GIS, asset and financials, billing, SCADA. What was quite phenomenal was this project was a 9-month project. It was kicked off in late November 2016, and we were live by August 2017. Within 6 weeks of the kickoff, we had a prototype and demonstration to the business. It was a continuous lean development approach. By the end of mid-June, we had a full system testing, and since going live, there's been continuous improvements. One of the great outcomes was that there was no go-live anxiety. The ability to change and rapidly adapt the application meant the business was always happy with what they saw. It was easily seen. Another application I'm going to quickly just dive into and just show some of the features and capabilities of the platform more than any one particular application. This is an application for fleet management. It covers all of the essential fleet management requirements of managing a vehicle, its use, its consumption, its allocation, etc. So here we're demonstrating a couple of capabilities here, all again based on Formbird's forms. Here is a workshop dashboard, if you like, providing all the key information in real time from the field, from the workshop, providing information that is relevant to, say, the workshop supervisor. May have Gantt charts of allocation of labour, of works allocated, looking at it from a very specific point of view of that workshop supervisor. In addition to that capability, if we look now at, say, from the asset point of view, again, heavily utilising images. So people like our water industry dictate now that over 6 images are applied, keeping a very strong asset history for every job. That previous company has now got over 250,000 photos of their assets. Here we're looking at the utilisation, a good asset summary of a particular vehicle. Again, taking images of the works performed, providing great history of that asset. Again, all built on Formbird and Formbird components. The flexibility of the platform means that customers and the solutions, they may start with something that is off the shelf, but then they can build it out. Further capabilities within the platform, I'll just quickly pull up a report here. And this is just a demonstration again of a form, but in this case it's being presented as a report. Again, everything you see is built within the platform, leveraging things like Chart.js, D3.js in this case, and other off-the-web third-party libraries, all interactive, all simply embedded. In fact, as Formbird is built on Formbird, the reporting tool is actually a Formbird application. Here we're able to drill down, expand on, and look at specific data, all sitting on top of MongoDB. So underlying all of this capability is MongoDB. The flexibility of the data and the data modeling of MongoDB is now being expressed through the Formbird application or the platform. So it's not a application. It is a platform. Everything you see is buildable by yourselves, by customers, by third parties. So here we've exported out of that form and taken it into Excel as a Excel spreadsheet, CSV file. We also have the ability to import CSVs, and the generic integration, which I'll go into in a minute, covers extensive capability of RESTful web service calls into and out of the platform. So let's now have a look at some of the IoT capabilities. Here we've actually built a simple vehicle tracking, yet it provides all of the key aspects of vehicle tracking, but it's embedded within that application. IoT should not be considered to be a secondary element to any business process. It should be integrated like any other data. We use it here for what's known as daily driver check sheets, knowing when a driver is driven and the daily driver check sheet has not been completed. If we then have a look at perhaps some of the more, this report here is actually what we term a risk-based analysis report. So looking at all the parameters within the application for a fleet management application and doing a risk-based analysis of the asset to work out replacement time and the risk of owning it and what we should actually do with it. So more advanced reporting, more advanced analysis of the data. Let's have a look at some of the more advanced components that you may want to build or leverage. So here I'll dive into a daily driver check sheet. A daily driver check sheet has been created in the field, and if it identifies an issue, then the driver can start communicating with the supervisor, workshop supervisor, for instance. In this case, it pulled it up on an Android phone, on my Android phone. I'll dive into the app. You'll see that the application is fully functional, fully represented, and responsive design to the original application. Here I am. I'm going to pull up the very same daily driver check sheet. I'm just looking at the opening report that I also navigated to on the desktop. In this instance, I'm actually going to go down, and you can imagine that I'm in the field. I've decided I found an issue, and here what I'm actually going to do is start a video conference, and the video conference session is actually around the issue. So I can have any number of people trigger off this video conference. I could be in the field, I could be investigating a problem, and I can record that session as part of the asset history. This capability of actually leveraging third-party libraries and building components is part of that extensibility. It's part of also that not being locked into our Formbird technology. They become simple web components. We're following the web component capability. We can use React, Angular, and Vue components and wrap them and embed them. We can also wrap and embed our own Formbird library into other websites. So you can leverage the form development capability, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, in your own web environment, in your own web apps. So all of this capability is really very extensible and very leverageable. Part of our integration is we've actually built Node-RED nodes, or flows, they call them. So there's a number of flows that provide generic integration into our web services. Those web services provide an easy way of integrating data directly in and out of the platform. A key capability of Formbird is its integratability. So the ability to integrate data in and out through the RESTful web services is really expressed here. So this is actually our vehicle tracking application, developed, if you like, in Node-RED. That Node-RED can sit on a server or could sit on devices like Raspberry Pis, etc. So Node-RED is a very interesting technology and very powerful way of augmenting integration and data orchestration, queuing, and transformation. So here we've just switched on some data coming in from a test vehicle. Those the packets coming from across into a TCP/IP socket. It being translated and transformed, connecting to the Formbird server, augmenting the data, orchestrating it, and then inserting it into the database as a IoT transaction with the location, speed, and other sort of vehicle data, if you like, that's going into it. This is a key capability of leveraging and really using Formbird as an IoT platform. At the same time, using the same capability, same generic capability, to integrate both inbound and outbound, and I'll show some of the outbound in a minute. So other capabilities, just in terms of how we can leverage something like Node-RED, again, like Formbird, it's all JavaScript, it's all embedded, and therefore it's a common technology or common capability of using JavaScript. We use JavaScript within MongoDB. We use the JavaScript within Formbird. It's all JavaScript based, and then tools like Node-RED, which are also node based, can leverage the same JavaScript. Single technology, reducing technical diversity and increasing stability and technical capability. The Formbird flows are actually publicly available. You can search them up on the Node-RED site. And install them. They're also obviously in Node-RED. There are many other flows for SQL Server, Oracle, etc., providing and making a great tool for integration. So this is really so here's the website for Node-RED if you're interested. As I said, it is only one way of integrating into Formbird. We have also used ESBs such as Talend, Oracle, Boomi, etc., to provide direct integration into the platform. The generic nature of our web services and web sockets really allow us to integrate into anything that has web service-based capability. If we head on over to the documentation on the Formbird website, you can take a quick look at some of those generic functions of the APIs. This includes a straight CRUD, the create, update, delete. You can upload and download files very easily. So you can also create web components. These web components can leverage or expose as macro type web services that use the server-side component of a component to provide an externalized web service capability. So again, extending that integration capability and the generic use of the platform as a app server. So let's build our first Formbird app. A Formbird app consists of a form, which is defined by a template. The template contains components. Those components are functional and define the data. The component consists of HTML, CSS. It's a web component. You can build your own components. The data entry or forms can be a data entry, dashboard, reporting, or navigation. They're not specific. It really is a generic single form which contains different components. Those components are rearranged to provide that function. So let's go ahead and build our first form. So we're within the Formbird environment. We pull up our JSON editor, which we call our template editor. And what we'll do is we'll define our first template. A template consists of the JSON construct, which contains those components and specific instructions, if you like, to the template renderer to define that template. So here I'm going to just cheat. I'm actually going to define a contact. So name and address. It's a very simple form, commonly used, often the starting point. So here we have all the components, each component defining functional and key parameters. So here we have a text box. The text box has a functional type of SC text box. It has a label and it has a name. The name is what will be stored in the database into Mongo. So now we have that functional form. On saving, it instantly is available. We now can start doing data entry, and that will be fully indexed and fully stored in Mongo. So within those few seconds, I've actually defined a form. I'm now actually immediately entering data, and it is indexed. And all I've done is I've defined those components that I want to represent that functional form. As you can see, they could be a navigation components, they could be data collection, presentation, etc. But what I'll do now is I'll head on over to the phone and I'll have a look at what that looks like on my phone. I'll log into the Formbird demo server here and take a look and retrieve Jenny James's document. It'll render naturally against the template I just defined. So now in these few seconds, I've built an application that is now mobile. What I'll do is I'll take a photo. So all those fields that are active, like photos or phones or GPS based, are all active within the device. Once I take the photo, it's uploaded. What you'll notice when I take the photo that we leverage WebSockets throughout the application. So it's all push-pull, all live. So as I hit the save button up on the phone, it'll instantly appear in the office on the same form because I'm also looking at it. If here I update a particular field in the field, it'll also update it on the form here. So we do a lot of work with data matching, and we don't and data conflict and conflict resolution. Similarly, if I push it back, it pushes back out to the phone. So like Google Docs, it's all live. Similarly, we don't delete or update any data. All data is kept as history. So we version everything. Everything has a unique version, and as it goes through its various versions, it's fully maintained. We know who created, when it was created, when it hit the server, if it was operating offline. Now this is very powerful also for when you're performing integration. You really need, in many instances, a complete history of data to really successfully integrate into third-party systems. So here we'll go back, and now we'll decide that we actually want to add more function to that form. And this is part of that lean development approach, really being able to add quickly functionality to any existing form. Here I'm going to add a list box or checkbox. This checkbox list contains a number of values. I'll update the actual name. So this is the name that will be stored in the database. So it could be very specific to a function, to a customer, to whatever it might be. I'll update the label. The label will be, of course, appearing, and then there'll be other functional properties that go against the keys against that particular component. Here, I've decided that this component should be full width. It's going to look a lot better if it's full width, but I could make it mandatory. I could do other things depending on the capability of that specific component that's been defined in a component. As soon as I hit save, I go back to the original document. I'll go and refresh. In this case, I'll go straight back to Jenny's document. Here, you can see that now I have the new function, which is a checkbox. I can also drill down, if you like, and look at the data underneath using that template editor or document editor. Again, it's just simply retrieving the actual underlying document that would be otherwise rendered on the form. So here is the data. You can see that it had the data I just defined in that component. So these are all, you can see that within those few minutes, I've created a document, made it go mobile. In this case, what I'll now just quickly demonstrate the fact that every event, the WebSocket is broadcast, and I can actually leverage that within, say, Node-RED to receive that WebSocket notification. So as I hit save, Node-RED is subscribing to that WebSocket event, and it could react to that. It could trigger something, it could go back to the database, query for more data, and then perform something. This can also be used for outbound or for integration into third-party services. So in this case, we're actually leveraging the base WebSocket capability that the platform has to, in this case, integrate into a third-party system. It just happens to be Node-RED in this example, but you can see how easy it is within a few seconds. I've actually defined a form and defined some integration into a third-party environment. To extend an application, we then have our, what we term Formbird rules, which are in fact straight JavaScript. That JavaScript can be attached to any number or number of events that occur, both on the client and server side. We don't do anything with that JavaScript. It is just straight up JavaScript that you can add to a form. We have client side. Those client side rules include on form load, on field change, pre-save client. So on form load, you can set visibility, read only, etc. On field change, react to events, on change events, for instance, a status change, etc. Pre-save client, validating a set of data before it is sent to the server. Then on the server, there are the server-side events, pre-save and post-save events. They will also be called when you make one of those RESTful calls into the environment. So we're trying to minimize the duplication of business logic that you may apply for integration. Also, time-based processing. You can have once-off events or repeating events. In addition to that is our key capability. So this is securing each and every document based on a set of keys. A set of keys applies to an account or a user, and they apply to the document. That combination then determines accessibility. This then gives us fantastic capability to distribute and provide access to limited applications or extended applications and sharing data between larger communities. Like I said, digital transformation today is about sharing of data. It's about connecting people to your data. It's about how you can provide access to information and have it provided and updated in real time. So the ability to access the right data, your data, on any device in real time is at the heart of digital transformation 2.0 or Industry 4.0. As you can see, Formbird powered by MongoDB provides a powerful technology base to enable digital transformation, enabling your organization to connect with your customers, employees, and suppliers, integrating IoT and other data sources. The power and flexibility of simplified yet powerful data management with the simplification, power, and flexibility of application development, a complete end-to-end solution, a database as a service and an application platform as a service integrated together. I've only given a very short overview on a number of the key capabilities of Formbird. It's exciting times ahead. Thanks for viewing my video, and I hope you've enjoyed it and found it informative. It's been an honor and privilege, and thank you MongoDB for putting on the event and providing an awesome technology that is at the heart of Formbird. Keep an eye out for our Formbird self-service launch. I look forward to being in contact with as many of you as possible, both during and after MongoDB Worlds. Stay safe, go well. Thanks again.